Good evening and welcome to the March 11th, 2014 Gaston County Board of Commissioners. My name is Tracy Philbeck. I serve as chairman of the board as well as commissioner for the Dallas Township. I'd like to welcome our viewers, thank Time Warner Cable and AT&T for making this possible for our citizens. For our television audience, I'd like to present to you your Gaston County Commissioners, beginning on my right.
Alan Fraley, Cherryville Township.
Good evening, Chad Brown, Riverbend Township.
Good evening, Mickey Price, South Point Township.
Good evening, Jason Williams, Gastonia Township.
Good evening, Joe Carpenter, Crowder's Mountain Township.
Tom Kieger, Gastonia Township.
This time I will call the meeting to order. Our first item is proclamations, commendations, awards, and certificates. Commissioner Williams will be given a commendation.
All right. I'm going to call Mr. Will Blaylock up, and any family and friends you got with you want to come up here? Come on up, guys. You got to... Good to see you. Thanks for coming out. Hey, how are y'all? Appreciate you coming out. Thanks. Just stay right back here. Hey, how are you? All right. Whereas Mr. Will Blaylock, a Forest View High School senior and standout member of the Forest View men's golf team, was recognized at the North Carolina Junior Golf Night Awards Banquet at Pine Needles Resort in Southern Pines, North Carolina, where he accepted the 2013 North Carolina Junior Player of the Year Award presented by the Tar Heel Youth Golf Association and the Carolinas Golf Association. And whereas the award is presented annually to one girl and one boy who have had the most successful year in amateur and junior golf events at the local, state, regional, and national levels. And whereas Mr. Blaylock won the Junior North and South Amateur Championship and the Bobby Chapman Junior Invitational, along with the Phil Wallace Holiday Classic in 2013. He also finished top 10 in 10 of 17 tournaments. And whereas he capped off a strong 2013 season with his selection as one of the 3 local golfers to the 2013 North Carolina Boys All-State Golf Team, which included 30 players, Mr. Blaylock was named to the first team and is one of only 3 players to ever have been named first team in 3 consecutive years. In other words, Will's pretty good. Whereas Mr. Blaylock heads into the 2014 season with many career accolades, including a 3-time All-Conference selection. He was named Big South Conference Player of the Year as sophomore and was instrumental in helping the Jaguars win back-to-back 3A Golf State Championships in 2012 and 2013. And whereas Mr. Blaylock has signed to play college golf with North Carolina State University. A big deal. Good job. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners congratulates Will Blaylock upon being named North Carolina's 2013 Junior Player of the Year by the Tar Heel Youth Golf Association and further commends him for his hard work and stellar achievements as a student athlete to be adopted the 25th day of March, 2014. Will, appreciate it very much. Got anything you want to say, or you guys want to say anything? Go ahead. Got any tips you want to offer the rest of us?
Well, I'd like to thank my parents for taking me to all my golf tournaments and supporting me. And I'd like to thank my head golf coach, Coach Ken Beatty, for supporting me tonight. And I'd like to thank my teacher, Bruce Sutterth, for teaching me for about a year now. And I'd like to thank Mike Taylor for teaching me for about 7.5 years, being my swing instructor. That's about it.
Thank you very much, my friend. Congratulations. Thank you.
Our next commendation is to award Police Specialist James P. Workman, retired, with his service side arm and badge.
All right. Mr. Workman, if you and anybody else wants to come up with you.
Where's that hat?
Pardon me?
Where's
It's
the
in the
hat?
truck.
Whereas Specialist James P. Workman retired from the Gaston County Police Department December 1st, 2013, after serving 15 years with Gaston County. And whereas Specialist Workman has requested that he be awarded his service sidearm and badge worn during his service with the Gaston County Police Department, now therefore be it resolved by the Gaston County Board of Commissioners that the badge worn by Specialist Workman and his service sidearm be declared surplus equipment. The badge worn by Specialist Workman be given to him as a remembrance of his service with the Gaston County Police Department. His service sidearm be permanently retired by the Gaston County Police Department and offered to Specialist Workman at a purchase price of $1. The Chief of Gaston County Police Department is directed to award Specialist Workman with the service sidearm and badge as specified and worn by him during his service to Gaston County in accordance with the North Carolina statutes and the policy of the Board. Be it further resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners wishes to express their sincere gratitude for the dedicated service of Specialist James P. Workman, retired, and wishes him the best in his retirement, to be adopted the 25th day of March, 2014. Mr. Workman, appreciate it very much. And we've got somebody, Mr. Jeff Clark, wanted to come say a couple of things real quick before we do that. So I'm going to give this to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
My name is Jeff Clark. I'm also a retired police officer from the Gastonia Police Department. And Jim and I started our career together 30 years ago in 1983 at Gaston College. Upon my retirement, a friend of mine gave me this statement that is made by General David Shoup of the United States Marine Corps, and this is basically a description of Jim Workman and his career. I'd like to read it, please. The galleries are full of critics. They play no ball. They fight no fights. They make no mistakes because they attempt nothing. Down in the arena are the doers. They make mistakes because they try many things. The man who makes no mistakes lacks boldness and spirit of adventure. He is one who never tries anything. One never tries anything. He is the break in the wheel of progress. And yet, it cannot be truly said he makes no mistakes, because his biggest mistake is the very fact that he tries nothing, does nothing, except criticize those who do things. Gaston County is losing a great one today. Jim Workman is a doer, and I am proud to say he's my friend.
Gaston County Police, on behalf of the men and women of the Gaston County Police and the citizens of Gaston County, I present you with your sidearm and appreciation for the service you've given. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Just like to say a few words. First of all, I want to thank everybody in this county who gave me the opportunity 15 years ago to come and work for the Gaston County Police Department. Some of y'all don't know I was one of the Bessemer City officers who was brought into the Gaston County Police Department. And from day one when we walked through the door, I was treated just like I'd been a veteran officer at the Gaston County Police Department for years. I was awarded the availability to work different departments within the department. Retired out as a crime scene officer after 10 years, which I greatly enjoyed. Never one time were we told that we couldn't do anything that the other officers who were veteran officers with the department at the time could not do. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for that. I'd like to thank the chief, assistant chiefs, all my captains, supervisors that I've worked for all these years. It's been a great 15 years. If it wasn't for my age, I'd keep on going, but it's time to go. I already miss it. I thank everybody tonight for what you've given me. As Jeff said, we started together 30 years ago when I moved up here. I left my family and friends down in South Florida to come up here to get a job. First person walking the door at the Gastonia Police Department was Jeff Clark. Walked up to me, shook my hand, and since then I've made several friends and extended family members up here, and this has become my home. Thank you very much.
Our next item is to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the Gaston County Martin Luther King Unity Award. Commissioner Carpenter.
Okay, Donna, there's some other people involved in this, and Reverend, come on up, you and Richard. many of you that's been involved with this Martin Luther King celebration each year, and it's a tribute to this community working together. I've been proud to be a part of that, and in fact, a few years ago, I think Tom Kigger and I were on the board when we designated the plaza out here. Many of you don't know it, but a lot of cities have a street that they name after it. But there were so many people tied to Marietta that they didn't want to change that name, so this whole area right out here in front of this intersection is a Martin Luther King Plaza. And so I want to read this commendation on the 10th anniversary of celebrating that. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January the 15th, 1929, and his birthday is celebrated as an American federal holiday on the third Monday of each year. And whereas Gaston County Martin Luther King MLK Unity Award was created by the Gaston Clergy and Citizens Coalition, the GC3, which is an initiative of Gaston Together to honor the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and also to recognize those in our county who have made special effort to build bridges of unity across lines of race, class, gender, faith, and religion within Gaston County. And whereas the MLK Unity Award showcases the humanitarian spirit of Dr. King and is presented annually at the MLK Plaza in downtown Gastonia on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And whereas the MLK Plaza, located at the intersection of North Marietta and Long Avenue, was created by GC3 and features a monument with the words, "I have a dream," in 17 different languages, and it's engraved with the names of honorees. Whereas this year marks the 10th anniversary of Gaston County MLK Unity Award, now therefore be it resolved in Gaston County Board of Commissioners commemorates the 10th anniversary of Gaston County MLK Unity Award and congratulates all of the award recipients and the Gaston Clergy and Citizens Coalition in its continued effort to build bridges of unity in Gaston County, to be adopted the 25th day of March 2014. And Donna, I don't know who I ought to give this to, but I'll keep my copy, but I have 3 copies.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, and so you recognize some of these.
I would. Thank you, Joe, and we're very appreciative of this proclamation tonight and acknowledgement of the 10th anniversary of this award. And I also want to thank the commissioners, even though I'm not sure how many of you were present at the time that we did get support for the plaza in front of the DSS building, but I do want to thank you for that support as well. We have a number of our GC3 members here tonight. We also have a number of our honorees from the last 10 years. And if you will all step forward a little bit, it'll help me. We have one of our first honorees is Marshall Roush, and he told me he would be watching at home tonight, could not be with us. But we have Angela Dreer and Dr. Ben Hinton, who were just awarded or honored this year. We have Dickie Spargo, who was honored a number of years ago, Lucy and Richard Penninger, who are honorees, and Dr. Richard Boyce, who are all former honorees, and the other members here are members of the Gaston Clergy and Citizens Coalition. Thank you. Would any of y'all like to say a word? They usually talk a lot. You know, preachers, come right on up.
All right. You know, it looks pretty tame sitting out there, that black piece of stone, but it took some work to get that there. And I remember that stone came from the subcontinent of India. two Hindu entrepreneurs here in Gaston County had set up a business for engraving. And I remember in conversations with them on the construction of that monument, them telling me that they had studied the life of Martin Luther King Jr. Over in India as a hero for human rights. And it just reminded me of what a global community we are in. But that monument is out there, not because of the great things that have been done in other places, but because of the great things that have been done here in Gaston County. I hope everybody knows the history of the 60s and 70s here in Gaston County. We came through that time with relatively little violence, and it was due to the involvement of citizens here in Gaston County who already had established relationships across racial lines, so that when the time for testing came, they were able to set up meals together at restaurants and so forth without any kind of violent kind of confrontation or even organized intervention. And we've recognized some of the members of that Citizens Coalition on the monument, and we've tried to recognize people since. I guess the main thing, it's a great thing to have a block of stone out there, and we're very proud of this plaza, but we hope you commissioners and you citizens are still committed to the principles that monument represents. It's still hard to get us to come together in Gaston County, even across lines of municipalities, much less race and class. So let's keep working, and let's be proud of, I think, one of the best MLK monuments in the world out there, and that's thanks to the work of the GC3.
Our next item is a commendation and recognition of CVS Caremark's decision to no longer sell tobacco products at its stores. Commissioner Carpenter.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been a member of the Gaston County Healthcare Commission and attended fairly regularly, and I have been so impressed with the coming together of the individuals across this county that deal in healthcare and support healthcare. And at this time, I want to read this commendation recognizing CVS Caremarks. Whereas the Gaston Community Healthcare Commission is a network of community organizations working to improve the health of Gaston County residents. And whereas the Health Care Commission has recognized and commends CVS Caremark for no longer selling tobacco products. And whereas tobacco products kill 480,000 Americans annually and is the leading cause of premature disease and death in the United States. And whereas 27% of Gaston County residents smoke tobacco products, and that percentage is higher than the state and national average. And whereas tobacco use costs $289 billion in healthcare expenses annually in the United States, and whereas 2014 is the 50th anniversary of the first Surgeon General's report on the health risk of tobacco use, and whereas CVS Caremark has recognized the incompatibility of selling tobacco products with its commitment to improve the health of their customers, and whereas CVS elimination of the sale of cigarettes and tobacco will make a significant difference in reducing the chronic illness associated with tobacco use. And whereas CVS Caremark decision to stop selling tobacco products is consistent with the position of the Gaston Healthcare Commission, the American Lung Association, American Medical Association, American Heart Association, American Cancer Society, and American Pharmacists Association, and Gaston County, which have all publicly worked to reduce the use of tobacco products. Now therefore be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners commends CVS Caremark for its contribution to improving the health of Gaston County residents and encouraging other health-related businesses to eliminate the sale of tobacco products. To be adopted the 25th day of March 2014. And you back it. Now, David is the chair of our Healthcare Commission this year. Let me give it to you, David.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. If I may, good evening, Commissioners. I have the privilege of serving as the chair of the Healthcare Commission this year and appreciate your recognition of CVS for its actions to remove tobacco products from the shelves. And we applaud this effort here in Gaston County and across the United States. It's a great example for other businesses in our community. And as you know, the Healthcare Commission is a network of numerous organizations across Gaston County that work in the health field, and it coordinates our efforts to improve the health of Gaston County residents. Last year, in consultation with the Department of Health and Human Services, Caramont Health, and Gaston Family Health Services, the Healthcare Commission determined that we needed to focus our efforts on one area in order to have a larger impact on that one area rather than be spread so thin. And there are many healthcare issues in Gaston County, including tobacco use, but one number jumped out at us, and that was that the majority of residents of Gaston County are either obese or overweight, and that status actually adds to other health issues such as higher rates of diabetes, higher rates of high blood pressure, and heart disease. So our focus this year really has been on reducing the incidence of obesity in Gaston County. One of our strategies is to find sites in Gaston County, whether they be schools, workplaces, or places of worship, that are receptive to making health behavior changes in their employees or their congregation or their school system. And last fall, we began at Bethlehem Church West Campus. They became our first pilot project and have partnered with us they have formed an advisory group for the West Campus there and have worked with the Healthcare Commission to implement things like a health fair and work sessions where they've talked about health and done physical activity. And they're also working on a program right now this spring called Holy Well with funding support from Caramont and the parish nurses. That is a more intense program for their congregation members and the community as well. So that's one phase of what the Healthcare Commission is working on. At the same time, we're working on getting messages out to the community about healthy behaviors and coming up with new messages each month that will lead people to resources that already exist in the county, such as the YMCA, Health and Human Services, Cooperative Extension, Parks and Recreation, and others. We also want to direct folks to some other activities, events coming up here, the Run for the Money and the Caramont Health Challenge on May 17th. So those are some exciting events. So health is a community effort, and we applaud CVS for their actions on tobacco use and setting that great example, and encourage others to follow in that suit. It's about eating healthy foods. We'd like to see less tobacco use, more physical activity, and have that be the norm in Gaston County. Again, thank you very much for your recognition of CVS. We applaud what they have done and appreciate them being a community partner.
Thank you, David.
And I would also like to recognize that the Healthcare Commission is staffed through Gaston Together, and Donna Lockett provides a lot of that support for us. Thank you.
If I may, I forgot one of our MLK honorees who was in our audience but did not choose to stand up, and I would like to recognize Bill Seabrook, who is also a former honoree. Thank you.
Our next item is an award, service sidearm, and badge to retired Animal Control Director, Mr. Reggie C. Horton. Commissioner Fraley.
Mr. Reggie Horton, would you please come forward? Friends, family, colleagues, anybody that'd like to stand with Reggie? Before I get started with this commendation, I wrote a few things down that spent a lot of time with Reggie through the years working on a lot of issues, so I just wanted to say, a couple weeks back, Reggie, why don't you step up here with me? I fired off an email from a concerned citizen regarding an animal control issue. Imagine that happening. And when I forwarded it to Reggie, I didn't get a response the same day, so I knew something was really amiss at that point, because I always knew a prompt response was coming from him. In my opinion, Reggie's always been the ultimate professional. Not too many years ago, it seemed that there was an animal control issue on every agenda. Through all the peaks and valleys, he never dodged any of the problems. He never passed the buck on to anybody else. He always held himself accountable. And this is a very admirable quality, and one that earned my respect from day one. Reggie, I wish you the best in your retirement, and only regret that when we finally do get a new animal shelter, you won't have the opportunity to sit in the new desk in the new office, but come by and visit, and I'm sure you will.
Thank you for the words.
Yes, sir. Now I'll read the commendation. Whereas Director Reginald C. Horton retired from Gaston County Police Department Animal Control Division on February 1st, 2014, after serving 28 and a half years with Gaston County. And whereas Director Reginald Horton has requested that he be awarded the service sidearm H&K Model USP 45, serial number 25088-354, and badge worn during his service with the Gaston County Police Department. Pursuant to General Statute 20-187.2 and the Board Resolution number 259 dated October 27, 1983. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Gaston County Board of Commissioners that the badge worn by Director Reggie Horton in his service sidearm H&K Model USP 45 serial number 25088-354 be declared surplus equipment. The badge worn by Director Horton to be given to him as a remembrance of his service with Gaston County Police Department and the Animal Control Division. The service sidearm H&K Model USP 45 serial number 25088-354 be permanently retired and by the Gaston County Police Department offered to Mr. Reggie Horton at a purchase price of $1. The Chief of the Gaston County Police Department is directed to award Director Horton with the service sidearm and the badge as specified and worn by him during his service with Gaston County in accordance with the North Carolina General Statutes and the policy of the Board. Be it further resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners wishes to express their sincere gratitude for the dedicated service of Animal Control Director Reggie C. Horton, retired, and wishes him the best in his retirement, to be adopted the 25th day of March 2014. Congratulations, Reggie.
Thank you, sir.
The Chief has something to award you with.
Reggie, on behalf of the men and women of the Gaston County Police Department and citizens of Gaston County, I'm honored to present you with your sidearm and appreciation for your service. John Milton. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Very good. Well, you'd think after sitting through and witnessing so many of these, I'd be a little bit better prepared. But I've always considered myself a team player, and I'm truly humbled by this recognition. But 28 and a half years, or however long it's been, it's certainly not all credit to me. There are a few people that I'd like to thank. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for blessing me with the health and strength and skin just thick enough to make it through animal control for 28 and a half years. Also, a skilled, talented, and caring animal control staff and volunteers. I think over the years it's safe to say that anything positive or good coming out of animal control was a result of their efforts, and anything to the contrary was my fault. I'd also like to thank my beautiful daughter Samantha. It seems like no matter how many school events or family matters that I missed because I was helping some citizen with an animal-related problem, she always seemed to understand. 3 individuals quickly: Mr. Steve Whitlow, Miss Judith Johnson, and Dr. George Creed. It seems like we have some folks that opt for social media anymore, emails, commissioners' meetings, citizen recognition, letters to the editor, want to complain about any number of things. Whether it's the task force, Humane Society, or the Vet Association, those 3 individuals that I named saw issues. They rolled their sleeves up and actually did something, committing their time and resources to try to make things better for the community and welfare of the animals, and I'm eternally grateful for their efforts. Mr. Moore, you and a plethora of assistant county attorneys through the years, my sincere gratitude to all the help and constant accessibility, availability in navigating the sometimes emotional animal-related legalities and the like. I thank you, sir, for being there. Chief James Bowie, thank you, sir, for your constant confidence in me and my efforts. Thank you for allowing me to participate in a wonderful and skilled management team, and for truly feeling part of the best police department there is, period. It's an honor, sir. Thank you. Mr. Mathers, I enjoyed our chat in January. I appreciate you caring enough, sir, to come out and get a first-hand look at some of the challenges at the animal shelter and with animal control, and I truly and sincerely hope that you were able to garner enough information to be able to wholly support and recommend Chief Bowie's reorganization plan for animal control. Lastly, and certainly not leastly, I thank this board. As animal-related matters come to the forefront, and it is entailed with a lot of emotion and the like, I've always felt like that you supported me in animal control, and I appreciate that. And I just wanted to leave with one word, but Commissioner Fraley's already stolen my thunder on that. As we head into another difficult budget year, please, I beg you to continue to try to find a way to realize a new animal shelter facility, something that our entire community can be proud of. Thank you, and may God bless.
Our next item is to award, it's a retirement commendation for Mr. Darren S. Ledford, Emergency Medical Services Lieutenant. Commissioner Fraley.
While Darren's coming up, family and friends, I do want to add that Chief Bowie did get on that item we had, Reggie, immediately and took care of it, so it was handled properly. Whereas EMS Lieutenant Darren S. Ledford is retiring from Gaston County Emergency Medical Services, GEMS, and whereas EMS Lieutenant Darren Ledford has served with GEMS since August 1st, 1984, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of paramedics is essential to the preservation of life and the reduction of morbidity and the promotion of safety, and whereas EMS Lieutenant Darren Ledford has during his long career displayed preparedness, proficiency, pride, and compassion to provide excellence in patient care no matter where an emergency occurred in the performance of his duties. And whereas through his knowledge, ability, and dedication, Darren Ledford has risen to the rank of EMS Lieutenant. Now therefore be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners commends Lieutenant Darren S. Ledford and expresses its sincere gratitude for his 28-plus years of dedicated service and wishes him the best in his retirement, to be adopted the 25th day, March 2014. And I think Mark has a little something else to give to you. Darren, congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
And here's your commendation, and I think Mark has a little something special for you.
This is from Governor Pat McCrory. reposing special confidence in the integrity, learning, and zeal of Lieutenant Darren S. Ledford, I do by these presents confer the Order of the Longleaf Pine with the rank of Ambassador Extraordinary, privileged to enjoy fully all rights granted to the members of this exalted order, among which is a special privilege to propose the following North Carolina toast in the select company anywhere in the free world. Here's to the land of the longleaf pine, the summer land where the sun doth shine, where the wheat grows strong and the strong grow great. Here's to down home in the old North State. Order of the Longleaf Pine.
Thank you, Mr. Layfield. Thank you, Commissioners. First off, I retired February 1st, 30 years service, and, thought we were going to get away from have to come back and dress up and get a phone call this morning telling, hey, you got to shave your beard and, cut your hair and put this uniform back on, So I want to, like I said, thank first and foremost the Lord, give me the knowledge and ability and the skills to do this job for 30 years. It's, really tough to go out there and do what we do for this amount of time. I also would like to thank my family, for the support they've gave me and all the sacrifices that they had to endure, me not being there, long hours at work and training and missions and so forth. I also like to thank my Jim's family, being very supportive to me and my family over the years. And, there have been my other family in our lives. Being a paramedic, starting out, we were one of the first paramedics here in Gaston County. When we started out many, many years ago, paramedic service hadn't even started up hardly. Across the nation, we were, like 12 years in. So, paramedics are really young out in the nation. But being a paramedic is really tough. A lot of people don't realize that. Work long hours. When you put your application in, it says you work 12 hours, but you're not. You're working 16 hours. And you go home, and you're very tired. Eat, you got to get right back up and do it again. But, everybody that does this job, they know what they're getting into. It's tough. You're sort of bred for this. 1 minute you're hanging on the cliff underneath the Black Hawk, like some of my fellow captain did last night, rescuing somebody, 60-mile-per-hour winds. And the next minute you're in the back of an ambulance delivering a baby or holding, somebody's grandmother's hand as they pass on. So you have your ups and your downs. So that's something that you have to deal with and everything. So I'd like to thank Mr. Lanphier for, supporting me and moving me up to the management staff so that I could help, with planning for emergencies in this county and to make it a better county, have my input. I really enjoyed that. I want to thank my captain, who's not only my captain, but he's my partner, for me and him worked in special ops. And so ironic that we came from Renlo together, and so many of other members who retired, Jeff Clark back there, me and him was on Renlo together and got our EMT. Jeff went to the police department, I went to EMS. So, been a lot of years. So I appreciate everything that everybody's given to me. I'm not totally retiring out. I'm retiring out from EMS, but I'm still going to be teaching. So hopefully my hands will be teaching somebody, and hopefully their hands will be touching that patient and make a difference. So thank you again.
Our next item is to commend the Solid Waste and Recycling Division on winning the EPA's Landfill Methane Outreach Program 2013 Community Partner of the Year Award. Commissioner Fraley.
Could I have Mr. Ray Maxwell to come up and accept this, please?
You should have been up here already.
Ray. We got something else we need to do. Okay. All right, whereas the mission of the Gaston County Solid Waste and Recycling Division is to protect the residents and natural resources of Gaston County by providing environmentally friendly, cost-effective, technologically sound waste management strategies. And whereas each year the EPA's landfill methane outreach program recognizes the best in the landfill gas industry for excellence and innovation and creativity, success in promoting landfill gas energy, and achieving both environmental and economic benefits. There have been only 100 recipients nationally since the program began in 1994. And whereas the Gaston County Board of Commissioners endeavored to promote our county in advancement of landfill gas energy innovation. As a result, Gaston County identified 3 primary sustainability goals related to waste management practices: reduce landfill emissions, produce renewable energy, and provide infrastructure for a new industrial park. With a voluntary gas collection system installed, a self-developed landfill gas electricity project, 2.8 megawatts in operation, and an eco-industrial park's grading and utility hookups in place, the county is well on its way to realizing all of its main objectives. And whereas on January the 22nd, 2014, Gaston County Solid Waste and Recycling Division was awarded the EPA Landfill Methane Outreach Program Community Partner of the Year Award at the annual LMOP Conference in Baltimore, Maryland. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners congratulates the Gaston County Solid Waste and Recycling Division for being awarded the EPA Landfill Methane Outreach Community Partner of the Year, and commends their staff for the dedication and effort working together to develop a nationally acclaimed program for which the county and its citizens can be proud. The Commission expresses its gratitude for Solid Waste and Recycling Division ownership of the process, hard work, and dedication to making Gaston County a better place, to be adopted the 25th day of March 2014. Congratulations. And this to you. You want to present this award, or?
Well, I want to thank the Commission tonight for recognizing the Solid Waste Division and all the hard work and effort that they do on a regular basis. There are a lot of dedicated staff there. I certainly don't do this myself. The credit goes back to the staff. There's a lot of talented individuals there that are committed to this county, committed to the community, and want to do what's best for everyone. So I want to commend them for their hard work and dedication. This is a very important award for this division. There's not a lot of these awards that are given out, and I just want to commend staff for their hard work and efforts, and the Commission for their commitment to the Solid Waste Division. We come to you on a fairly regular basis with items that we would like for you to consider, and certainly if there are items that you disagree with or have issues with, then you let us know, and we try to adjust to take your concerns and the community's concerns into consideration. But thank you for your support, and I want to thank all the employees and Ms. Marcy Smith, who is the Solid Waste and Recycling Administrator. She takes care of all the day-to-day operations out there, so she's the one that's handling all the phone calls and the customers that are coming in and those kinds of things. So thank you very much.
Our next item is a commendation for the 2013 United Way coordinators. Commissioner Keeger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Deborah, would you like to join us? And I guess the coordinators that are listed that I've been given, I know Mr. Lamphere. Kim, do you want to come up, or somebody, Captain, come on up? And what other department? Steve? There. I didn't see Chris. So we've got representatives from the Health Department, Department of Health and Human Services, the Sheriff's Department, and GEMS. And this is Deborah Alley. Would you step up here a little bit? She is the, are you president? Yes, sir.
Deborah's been president for the last number of years of our United Way, and she brings with her some of the board members as well as the folks from the county that help lead the very successful campaign for the third consecutive year. All right, whereas last fall, Gaston County employees led a successful campaign for the United Way of Gaston County by raising over $60,000 for the third consecutive year. And whereas GEMS and Coordinator Robert Sneed led all departments in giving for the third year in a row with a total gift of over $13,000. And whereas the Gaston County Sheriff's Department, or office, with Sheriff Alan Cloninger and Coordinator Captain Shay Wilkinson for the 9th consecutive year had over $10,000 in giving. And whereas the Gaston County Social Services Division of the Department of Health and Human Services with Coordinator Catherine Oglesby increased giving for the 4th consecutive year and a 34% increase from the previous year for a total of more than $10,000. And whereas the Gaston County Public Health Division of the Department of Health and Human Services with Coordinator Christy Williams, through their numerous fundraisers and special events, had a total gift of over $10,000 for the third consecutive year. And whereas these efforts resulted in a third consecutive year of over $60,000 in giving for the Gaston County Employees United Way campaign. Now therefore be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners recognizes and commends all the Gaston County employees who gave, especially the coordinators and the departments of GEMS, Health and Human Services, and the Sheriff's Office, for their fundraising efforts as leaders in the 2013 Gaston County Employees United Way campaign on behalf of the United Way of Gaston County, and this too will be adopted at our meeting at the end of the month. And let's see, I guess I've got 4 of them. One must be for you? I don't know. Where's the 4th one go? Okay.
Because they have separate campaigns, DSS and Health.
Well, I understand the DSS and the sheriff, but I didn't know where the 4th one went. So, Mark?
Thank you. See you. Yeah. Like that.
At this time, I think I'll ask President of the United Way, Deborah Alley, to make a comment or two.
Thank you, Commissioner Keeger. Gentlemen, commissioners, board members, thank you so much for this opportunity to come and just thank you and thank the Gaston County employees and department heads for helping us make our jobs easy in the community. As you know, they give up their time, raise money, give money to help the least of these in our community by funding programs in health, education, in financial stability. Without them, we would not be able to do all the good work that's done in the community. Last year, we were able to invest almost $1.4 million into the community in these programs, and we're very appreciative of that. Also, I want to make mention at our 61st annual meeting, we give out several awards during that time, and the Gaston County employees also received the 2013 Most Innovative Campaign Award, which means they keep it going, keep it fun, and think of new ways to help raise money and awareness. So again, I want to thank them for that. I have with me also our board member, Reverend Hinton, who's with us, and a new member of our family. Come forward, Ashley Smith. He is our new campaign and marketing manager. He's new to Gaston County, but not to United Way or to North Carolina. He comes from United Way of Cumberland County as marketing manager, and for the past 10 years he's served and serves in the North Carolina Air Force. So you will be hearing a lot more from him in the coming months and years. And again, thank you, and thank the county employees. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like Eric to come up just to, he wants to mention a few other people specially.
Thank you. Over the past 3 years especially, our success can really be attributed to 3 individuals. Only one of whom is here tonight, but Chris Dobbins, Robert Sneed, and Captain Shay Wilkinson. They really have a passion for giving, and they create a culture of giving in the workplace that has really served us well. If you think about over the past 3 years in the wake of the recession, The citizens of Gaston County continue to struggle with increased medical costs and inflation in the marketplace, sometimes while not having an increase in their own income. Gaston County employees have stepped up with nearly $200,000 in giving over that period of time, all while facing those same financial hardships as our community. Just wanted to thank you for this opportunity to recognize those employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Keeger. This time, Commissioner Carpenter to commend the Gaston County 2013 Employee of the Year and Community Service Award recipients.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm going to ask the commissioners to come down and assist me. You have a list of those, but let me read this commendation to the recipients for this year's Citizens of Gaston County, the employees. I first say that we have some of the most professional and dedicated employees of anybody that I know, and that includes private business. These folks work hard to make sure that county government works, and I feel proud to be a part of it. Whereas Gaston County employs approximately 1,500 dedicated employees, and whereas each year these employees nominate and select from among themselves the most outstanding Gaston County employees, and whereas an outstanding Gaston County employee is one who has rendered excellent service, performed in a manner that has won the respect and admiration of his or her peers, and exhibited an attitude of professionalism to be emulated by others. And whereas a recipient of the Community Service Award is a Gaston County employee who exhibits outstanding service to the community outside of their normal job duties. Now therefore be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners commends the 2013 Gaston County Employees of the Year, namely Cynthia Buchanan, Linda Grimsley, Sergeant Dean Henderson, Jeff Hicks, Kimberly Queen, Becky Rogers, Donna Stapleton, Anthony Turner, Dan Whitstein, Michael Zakowsnik, if you get that right, and the 2013 Community Service Award recipients, namely Kelly Sarah and Captain David Yelton, and expresses its appreciation for the exceptional and dedicated work of all the Gaston County Outstanding Employees of the Year for 2013, to be adopted the 25th day of March 2014. And the commissioners are going to hand these out.
And we'll start with Commissioner Keeger with Cynthia Buchanan from Social Services, and then Kelly Sierra from Health Division Community Service Award. Commissioner Keeger.
Folks from DSS want to join her? You can present it to her. I'll just read it. Hey, Cynthia, good to see you again. Mr. Moon, how are you? Cynthia Buchanan is an economic service supervisor with the Health and Human Service Department. In the year 2013, Health and Human Services dealt with the challenges of the rollout of the state's NC FAST program. In the middle of this storm, Cynthia accepted additional supervisory responsibilities when she was given the Emergency Assistance Program, the Low-Income Energy Assistance Program, and the Crisis Intervention Program, with about 48 hours to train staff. One coworker said, and quote, "Through all this, Cynthia made sure that we knew what we could count on, that we could count on her when needed, and she always treated us with respect, consideration, kindness, and patience, end of quote. Her co-workers described her as always having time for her staff no matter how much she had on her plate. For her ability to take on new challenges in a hectic environment, and for her being a great supervisor, Cynthia Buchanan is Gaston County Employee of the Year. Cynthia, would you like to say something?
I would just like to say thank you, and without God on my side and wonderful coworkers, I couldn't do it. So I have a wonderful staff that we work with. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kelly Sir. Kelly could not be here, but I'll read her little synopsis. Kelly devotes time to various community organizations, including the Samaritan's Purse, with the 2013 National Disaster Simulation Training, the Health Department's Teen Parents Program, Gaston County Quality of Life Community Health Assessment, Gaston County's Health and Human Service Food Drive, Meals on Wheels, As One Ministries, the Salvation Army, and Hope for Gaston, to name a few. In addition to this ongoing community support, she has secured donated school supplies and hygiene products for students of Southwest Middle School and donated baby items to the Health Department case managers for her clients' needs. After recently observing a child in need of a winter coat at the bus stop, she made it happen. No one really knows all the many ways Kelly supports her community, but we do know she is a role model for how we can give back to our community, and for that she deserves our Community Service Award of the Year. And Kelly, I don't think I mentioned, is with the health section of the Health and Human Service Division.
Thank you, Commissioner Keeger. Next is Commissioner Price. Kimberly Quinn, Social Services, Queen, and Becky Rogers for the Health Division.
Kimberly Queen, please join me at the podium along with family, friends, and co-workers. Well, family, friends, or co-workers.
Let me see if this next one's hers.
Kimberly Queen is the Allied Services Coordinator with Health and Human Services. In 2013, Kimberly took on many extra duties when she organized the Employee Red Cross Blood Drive, coordinated the DHHS United Way campaign, took DHHS board meeting minutes, and many more tasks as her department transitioned to a new administrative assistant. Kimberly's multiple nominations excuse me, all mention her ever-present smile and great attitude, and when asked who came into mind to overcome the challenges with North Carolina FAST, supervisors and directors all said Kimberly Queen. As one nomination put it, Kimberly has been there for so many other people, but now it's her time. For her wonderful attitude and valuable contributions in a challenging year, Kimberly Queen is an Employee of the Year.
I just want to thank God as well, and my family has been so supportive, and the people that we work with are awesome. So thank you.
Would Becky Rogers please join me at the podium, along with family, friends, and co-workers? Hey, Becky. Becky Rogers is a nurse with public health. Becky is described as a model employee who sets a high standard for herself and is always looking for ways to improve clinic efficiency in follow-up processes. Becky looks for ways to be valuable behind the scenes by volunteering to help her fellow nurses and her clerical work. She has been an asset during the transition to the new electronic medical record system, and she has demonstrated her devotion to public service by volunteering to counsel women about surgical sterilization who who cannot make it during clinic hours. She has embraced these tasks despite them not being part of her original job duties. Becky has a knack for finding seemingly small ways to assist her co-workers and patients that deliver big returns. For her exceptional service to public health and the citizens of Gaston County, Becky Rogers is an Employee of the Year.
I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I'm behind the scenes.
Next is Commissioner Brown to give order of presentations in the following order: Sergeant Dean Henderson, then Donna Stapleton from Tax, Anthony Turner from the Library, and Captain David Gelton from Community Service Award.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would Sergeant Dean Henderson please join me at the podium? Any of the colleagues from the police department? Dean Henderson is a sergeant with the Gaston County Police Department. In 2011, Sergeant Henderson joined the Professional Standards Unit to become and supervise a unit of internal affairs and property. Since that time, Sergeant Henderson's assignments have grown to include supervision over the training unit, recruitment unit, accreditations, and victim witness unit, and the department's reserve officers. All of these units now make up the support staff and services of the unit, which Sergeant Henderson oversees. This is now the largest specialized area of the supervision within the Gaston County Police Department. Part of Sergeant Henderson's job in interview police applicants, Sergeant Henderson does not simply dismiss those and do not make the cut. He goes a step further to counsel them and also give them a straight talk about what they're into and the chance to organize their future. Sergeant Henderson also stands among his peers as a moral, ethical, and well-grounded employee. For his hard work and dedication and ethical leadership, Sergeant Dean Henderson is Employee of the Year.
So I'd like to thank you guys for this honor today. But first and foremost, I want to thank you for the privilege of working for such a wonderful, professional police department every day for the last 25 years. Thank you much.
Thank you for your service. Would Donna Stapleton from the tax office please join me at the podium?
Okay. Point of personal privilege.
You got to come closer, as Mr. Lawford used to always say. Donna Staple was a supervisor at the tax office. Donna was responsible for supervising the tax staff during the implementation of the new statewide vehicle tax system. Not surprisingly, the new system associated with computer programs brought with it a host of issues. Donna put in countless hours to make a certain program as well maintained and accurately as possible while still making other strides as her responsibilities as a department continued to be done. She was cool under pressure with her demeanor and timeless and effortless timing to do her job. Donna's commitment to her exceptional work and her desire to drive to make sure everything in her department is not just completed but done above standard, making her an outstanding employee. For her commitment and countless hours of service, Donna Stapleton is the Employee of the Year. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll take a crack at this. Public speaking isn't my forte. But anyway, first of all, I thank the commissioners for this recognition. It does feel good to know that my work, along with the other employees of Gaston County, is appreciated. I want to thank my director, Jimmy Tanner, here. Also, my assistant director, David Turbyfield, for their support and their guidance, and sometimes for just listening to me vent. I also thank my hardworking staff and my other coworkers throughout the tax department and other departments in the county that I work with and depend on to do my job. It really takes a joint effort to ensure that we maintain a fair and equitable tax system. And unfortunately, and as probably you can imagine, when you work in the tax department, you're not told often that your work is appreciated. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't let her leave.
With Mr. Anthony Turner from
Commissioner
the...
Brown. Ms. Stapleton?
She can sit down.
Okay. Commissioner Keeger wanted to say a few words. Go ahead, Commissioner Keeger.
Mrs. Stapleton, it's me. I just wanted to say, hey, girls, we share something that's a little unique. We're both from a little place called Neptune, New Jersey. And my daughters grew up with her kids, and Garrett is also a Yankee, but we're a little more than Yankees. Good Yankees come down eventually and go back someday. The damn Yankees are the ones that stay, and welcome, damn Yankee.
I'm just glad to say y'all are not from Neptune, but he is.
Commissioner Brown.
Would Anthony Turner from the library's automation technician please join me at the podium? The public library is evolving, embracing new tools such as e-books, e-audiobooks, digital magazines, and for more continued as the hub of learning, sharing, and enjoyment. Anthony has stepped up the access to challenge, not only in learning about the devices, services, trends, and changes, but in his educational assisting library patrons of all ages and skill levels of technical expertise, his patience and knowledge, and a great smile. Based on the feedback of the patrons, which include written thank yous, he does it very well, and he is doing an outstanding job, and we continue to praise him every day. It is employees like Anthony that embody the term of public servant. For his patronage and assistance for helping other patrons embrace the new technology offered by the library, Anthony Turner is the Employee of the Year. Thank you, young man. We'll give you a chance to speak as well.
I'd like to first give honor to God, my Lord and Savior. I want to thank the commissioners. I want to thank the committee that voted for me, my friends and family, and my awesome pastor and his wife. I pray that God will continue to bless each and every one of us and our families. Thank you.
Would Captain David Yelton of the Sheriff's Office please join me at the podium?
You ever been County Employee of the Year?
Such a beautiful day outside. I'm glad we all could stay inside, right? David Yelton is a captain for the Sheriff's Office. Captain Yelton is the Sheriff's Office representative for numerous organizations surrounding Special Olympics and children with disabilities. He volunteers his time and coordinates other employees to volunteer at Webb Street School for events such as Lunch with Officers, the annual basketball game. Captain Yelton is also involved in the Special Olympics, setting up multiple fundraisers and participating in Cops on Tops, the Polar Plunge, and the Torch Run. He also spends time in support groups called Believe in Abilities. Whether it's jumping in the frozen water, sitting along a hot roof with a hot sign at Krispy Kreme, or running over 14 miles to raise money for awareness at the Special Olympics, Captain Yelton provides inspirational service to his community. For that, he deserves a Community Service Award, and we commend him on his achievement, Captain David Yelton.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. As you probably can tell, it's been a little while since I did that run, but I'm still good at the Krispy Kreme. Appreciate this award, but I feel kind of guilty because I could not do it without the support of Sheriff Ellen Clonaker and the officers and deputies of the Sheriff's Office. They give a lot, not only in time, their free time, but in their money too. We raised over $8,000 for Special Olympics last year. Some of the money we raise goes through the law enforcement torch run, which goes to Raleigh and supports our games and everything up in Raleigh. Another portion of it, I'm also on the coordinator staff for the local Gaston County, and we get no funds from you guys. We raise all our own. And we just finished up our basketball tournament. All our athletes got bronze medals. We had three on three teams and one 5-on-5 team, and it costs a lot of money to get their uniforms, get them transportation and everything like that. So everything that everybody contributes, we really appreciate it. With that in mind, I would be very neglectful if I didn't tell you that I'm right now doing a tip-a-cop at the Texas Roadhouse, and I'll be there tonight and tomorrow night. So you're all welcome to come by and maybe drink a glass of tea and fill the envelope with a lot of cash. And if you can't make it Tuesday or tonight or Wednesday, you're all invited, and I'm sure the county manager is going to lead the team. We're doing a polar plunge at Mount Holly, and I think I sent you all a little notice on that. So I look forward to seeing you at one of those places, and thank you very much.
Thank you for your service.
Appreciate it.
This time, Commissioner Fraley will be presenting presentations to Linda Grimsley, Finance, which I don't think she's here, and Jeff Hicks, Gyms.
Yeah, that's what it says. She couldn't attend. If anybody from Finance wants to come up on her behalf, I'm going to go ahead and read this just in case she's watching on TV or something. Linda Grimsley is accountant 2 with Finance Department. Linda is one of the behind-the-scenes worker bees whose meticulous work and strong work ethic makes up the backbone of the day-to-day operations necessary to keep Gaston County government running smoothly and efficiently. Because of Linda's dedication and hard work, the Gaston County Finance Office has been awarded the Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement of Excellence in Financial Reporting for the 5th consecutive year. This achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment, let alone 5 years running. For her expertise, professionalism, and dedication to Gaston County's accountability, our tax-paying citizens, in her 25 years of service, Linda Grimsley is Employee of the Year. Mr. Jeff Hicks, Captain with Gyms, please come forward. He is, okay. Mark's going to accept on his behalf. In 2013, Captain Hicks recognized the needs at gyms to revamp the physical fitness testing programs for employees and employment candidates. He sought out and obtained certification, then revamped the process. He then set out to improve the orientation process by incorporating the department's mission and value, emphasizing personal well-being and introducing more hands-on training to give candidates a better idea of what it takes to work for gyms. Each of these processes are critical points in finding the right people, preparing them for the job, and keeping them safe and healthy. That ultimately saves the county money as well as better protecting the employees and the public. For his initiative, Jeff Hicks is Employee of the Year.
Next is Commissioner Williams, Dan Wheatstein, Facilities Management, and Michael Zielinnik, IT. Did I say that correctly?
No.
Probably not. Maybe the commissioner from Ranlow can get it right.
He will. All right, Mr. Dan Whetstein, if you and any co-workers, family, friends, or just people on stretch their legs want to come up with you. Dan Whetstein is an HVAC mechanic with Public Works. Dan is very valuable to Gaston County because of his knowledge, skills, and problem solving that can eliminate the need to hire a contractor, saving the county money. Some of these skills include HVAC repair, electrical, carpentry, and jail door repairs. I don't think we need to reiterate how important having good jail doors are. Dan finds solutions to problems that save money, time, and manpower. He designed and built a frame-based and pivot for a courthouse tower that resolved a safety issue. He also repaired cooling tower leaks at the administration building, preventing premature corrosion and mold and algae buildup. For using his expertise and ingenuity to serve Gaston County, Dan Whitstein is Employee of the Year.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, Michael Zilkanich. Is that it? Okay. Brought the posse with you, huh?
This was a computer problem.
Yeah, if you have a computer problem, this is the time to have it. All right. Michael Zilkanich is a senior systems developer for IT. Michael is always assigned to highly technical and highly visible projects. Last year, Michael was asked to modify our finance system to allow for an interim budget, our first in nearly 30 years. He also took the adopted budget and integrated it with the interim budget. His success on this project was a major accomplishment. Another department described a situation last year when we received a surprise inspection from the Department of Labor. Michael was asked to take a totally new concept, program it, and produce the needed reports on a short timeline. At 4:30 p.m., they returned to say they needed it authenticated in yet another format in the morning. Michael was ready at 8 a.m. the next day and answered all the investigators' questions. As it says in his nomination, Michael made us look good that day. For his 25 years of exceptional technical support and making Gaston County look good every day, Michael Zilkanich is Employee of the Year.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. We have a number of employees in information technology that are excellent employees. They do outstanding work and they make the county look good every day, not only in the community but on the state level and on the national level. And some of them you've already recognized as Employees of the Year, Von Wortman and Richard Dodd, and there are a number more back there that I have every confidence that in future years you're going to recognize them as Employees of the Year. So thank you for the recognition.
Our next item is a proclamation, Gaston County Board of Commissioners, County Government Month, Commissioner Williams.
All right. Whereas the nation's 3,069 counties serving more than 300 million Americans provide essential services to create healthy, safe, vibrant, and economically resilient communities. And whereas Gaston County and all counties take pride in their responsibility to protect and enhance the wealth, health, welfare, and safety of its residents in sensible and cost-effective ways. And whereas in order to remain healthy, vibrant, safe, and economically competitive, America's counties must be able to anticipate and adapt to all types of change. And whereas through the National Association of Counties, President Linda Langston's Resilient Counties Initiative, NACO is encouraging counties to focus on how they prepare and respond to natural disasters and emergencies or any situation that counties may face, such as economic recovery or public health and safety challenges. Whereas Gaston County recognizes the 2014 National County Government Month theme as Ready and Resilient Counties, Prepare, Respond, and Thrive. Now therefore be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims April 2014 as County Government Month and encourages all Gaston County officials, employees, schools, and residents to participate in county government celebration activities. To be adopted the 25th day of March 2014. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Next up is Commissioner Price. Proclamation Professional Social Work Month. Commissioner Price.
Thank you. Would Melanie Lowrance please join me at the podium?
Sarah. Sarah. Should say Sarah Morris, but that's okay. That's okay.
Way to go, Mickey.
Read it like it's printed.
It's not his fault.
Whereas the primary mission of social work profession is to enhance human well-being and help meet the basic needs of all people, especially the most vulnerable in society. And whereas social workers know that poverty and trauma can create lifelong social and economic disadvantages, and that discrimination of any kind limits human potential and must be eliminated. And whereas social workers stand up for individuals, support diverse families in every community, help people in every stage of life function better in their environments, improve their relationship with others, and solve personal and family problems. And whereas all children have the right to safe environments and quality education, and whereas dignity and care giving for older adults helps define a nation's character, and whereas veterans and their families need community support to ensure successful transitions after service, and whereas access to mental health treatment and health care services save millions of lives, and whereas social workers are change agents who put the ideals of citizenship into action every day, believe in shared prosperity and opportunity for everyone. And whereas social work, research, and advocacy turn community needs into national priorities. And whereas social workers celebrates the courage, hope, and strength of the human spirit throughout their careers. Now therefore be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners, in recognition of numerous contributions made by America's 600,000 social workers, proclaims the month of March 2014 as Professional Social Work Month, and calls upon all citizens to join with the National Association of Social Workers and the Gaston County Department of Health and Human Services in celebration and support of the social work profession. This to be adopted the 25th day of March 2014. This is yours, and you must make a speech now.
Thank you. Regardless of the barriers and the adversity that our social workers face here in this community, they work hard every day to protect our children and to serve our families to help them reach their fullest potential. And they do it with little appreciation, with little thanks. So I appreciate the opportunity for you to recognize them today and the hard work that they do. Thank you.
Our next item is certificates and appreciation for public service. It is a great pleasure for the Gaston County Commissioners to honor citizens who have unselfishly given of their time, talents, skills, and energies in service as an appointee to one of our boards or commissions. This type of service is the foundation for citizen involvement in our county government and is helping shape the future of our community. We gratefully acknowledge the work of the following individuals, and certificates of appreciation have been forwarded to them. Giovanni Gambino on the Council of Aging and Human Community, Home and Community Care Block Grant Advisory Committee. William Manning, Family Advisory Board. Jonathan Schrock, Library Board of Trustees. Charles Martin, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Wilson Forbes Jr., Tony Robinson for the Sarah Local Planning Committee. Sharon Riggin for Transportation Advisory Board. Rocky Bennett, Nicole Bolt, and Charles Martin for the Travel and Tourism Advisory Board. And again, Sharon Riggin for the Workforce Development Board. Thank you for your service. At this time, we don't have any citizens signed up for citizen recognition. We'll go right into a presentation from Ms. Susan Hanson with Bit of Hope Ranch. Thank you.
Good evening. First and foremost, I just wanted to thank everybody for having us this evening, and a special thanks to Commissioner Keeger for helping us with the opportunity to speak here this evening. I am Susan Hanson, the Development Director at Bit of Hope Ranch, and Bit of Hope Ranch is a nonprofit 501c3 organization whose mission is to reach, rescue, and restore broken children, families, and horses through programs that build mind, body, and spirit. This evening with me is Meg Vanderbilt, our founder and executive director. Bit of Hope began in 2007 with Meg Vanderbilt's vision of helping hurting kids by using the natural attraction and power of horses. In 2008, a generous benefactor purchased the property at C.R. Wood Road for the purpose of the mission. The 45-acre piece of property was in a state of disrepair from neglect and needed to overcome several rezoning obstacles. Major repairs on the covered riding arenas and barns on the grounds, along with new fencing, took thousands of dollars and thousands of volunteer hours. Every project that was completed was for the purpose of making the facility safe for the kids and safe for the horses. Bit of Hope opened its gates to the kids the fall of 2010. Mentors, horses, and children met once a week for the ranch's mentoring program. In the fall of 2012, Bit of Hope integrated Christian counseling principles into its mentoring programs for the purpose of addressing mental health issues that clients presented. You might ask yourself, who are the kids that Bit of Hope Ranch serves? Well, they are at-risk children that are victims of abuse, trauma, or neglect from the ages of 5 to 18, kids dealing with grief, low self-esteem, inability to self-regulate, anxiety, anger issues, and children that have been subjected to sexual and physical abuse. At this time, we'd like to show a short DVD just highlighting some of the things that are currently going on out at the ranch, and then we'll follow that up with a few comments from Meg.
In my world, I feel alone. Am I pretty enough in my world? My world is lonely. My world is scary. I wish I could feel safe.
My world just fell apart.
In my world, no one sees me, the real me.
Without hope, their world is dark. Welcome to Bit of Hope Ranch. Bit of Hope Ranch was founded in 2008 with a mission to reach, rescue, and restore hurting children, families, and horses. They use programs that build not just the mind and the body, but also the spirit. And with caring volunteers and generous donors, this local nonprofit has been able to offer up hope and healing to hundreds of families that have come through its gates. So let's step inside and see what happens when horse connects with human. Our goal is that each person will experience healthy relationships with themselves, each other, and Jesus Christ. It's only then that each of us can discover true restoration.
All of our animals and horses have stories. In fact, all of our horses offer hope and healing to the many families and kids that have their own challenges as well.
They are our co-facilitators. They do a lot of work for us. Horses do have personalities, and they do show you what they want, and the horses give you instant feedback.
In addition to counseling, Bit of Hope has expanded growth and learning for the children in our community by offering an outdoor classroom experience. The Creative Literacy Readers Theater programs and the Cowboy Logic STEM curriculum are both based on the same experiential principles as our group therapy. We know that hands-on learning helps children find the answers for themselves as well as creating motivated young learners. Want to make the world a better place for horses too? Come work with one of our qualified riding instructors to begin your personal journey with horses. Want to share the ranch with your family and friends? The ranch is also a favorite place to celebrate weddings, parties, and other special events.
Thank you for listening to our stories.
Thank you for volunteering so I can have a place to find myself again.
Thank you for reminding me that I can overcome any obstacles that are in front of me.
And now we need your help to reach, rescue, and restore more hurting children, families, and horses. Your generous gifts can change a life forever.
How did you enjoy your trip to the ranch? It was quick. That video is available on the website, so we encourage you to share that with friends, share that with someone who would be interested in learning more about us. We are serving a population that is in great need in Gaston County. We have reached out with counseling programs to schools like Warlick, other Title I schools, JCPC, we're getting some clients from them as well. Grief groups we're serving throughout the year. So a lot of good things in terms of counseling programs are happening at the ranch. So much so is we're actually seeking funding now for a new counseling room that happens to be in a barn. So when kids come, they don't feel like they're in therapy, and that's what works for us. We'll also be adding an additional counselor this year too, so look for those upcoming changes. We started our educational programs last year, and we kicked it off with something fun for the STEM curriculum called the Cowboy Logic series. And this gave a chance for elementary kids to come out and get their hands dirty, to practice the STEM skills that they learn in the classroom, and they actually put them to work at the ranch. And it was all done through the eyes of the cowboy. So at the end, the kids really got to experiment and see if those lessons worked in the real world. The other fun thing we did last fall is we kicked off a Readers Theaters program, and we had 600 elementary children come through the program that boosted literacy. Of course, we had to do Charlotte's Web. We have our very own pig, and we did The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And of course, the 5th grade boys love that one as well. So we have a lot of fun with educational programs. The newest program I want just to let you guys know about, you heard from David Fogarty already, the emphasis on obesity prevention. And that is something that we are reaching out in the community, offering a ranch runners program. And so we have a wellness coordinator that is organizing that. And along with that are some mental health aspects that go along to help families and children make healthy eating choices. So there is a lot going on at the ranch. We want to update you guys and let you know that we are a resource in the community. Everyone knows a child that needs help, a family that needs help at some point. And so what we're asking for you is to be our voice. Be willing to repeat our story. Send them to our website, bitofhoperanch.org. We'll take you there. There's a lot of more information on there as well. And we invite you. We open the gates. Hope you'll come by and give us a call or a visit. We'd love to have you out for a tour and show you firsthand of what's happening at Bit of Hope Ranch. So thank you.
Thank you. We have a question from Commissioner Price.
Yeah, how long, I guess it depends on the counselor or help, but how long does a person usually, they come once a week, how often, and stay how long?
Right, that's a good question. It does depend on the child or the client, but here's the thing about our therapy. We are outside the box, and that is what works for us. And so we are considered short-term therapy if this therapy is going to work for that client. In usually 8 weeks, they will have achieved their goal. And the reason is horses aren't able to be lied to, and they will call you out on your behavior. And so we use that, the power of horses,
to help that client find and discover the answer to their challenges. Now, there are some, you can't fix a world of hurt in 8 weeks. And so, yes, sometimes that is extended, but short-term therapy is normally considered 8 weeks. Any other questions?
Any other questions from the board?
Thank you.
I'd just like to say thank you for what you do. My wife has been out there. I think you held a fundraiser for Mark Moore.
We did.
For,
Louder Than Words.
Yes, for a Honduras trip. So really thankful for what you do in the community.
Appreciate you saying that.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Our next item is an Adult Care Home Community Advisory and Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee reports.
That's about
It is.
Has it been a year?
I know. Doesn't it seem like this just happened not too long ago? Yes, it has been a year. And now we also present, though, as we get close to our Residents' Rights celebration and we get our proclamation. So that was in October. So that may be what you're remembering. And we'll be back in October for that again. Good evening. I'm Cindy Englert, Regional Ombudsman with the Central Line of Council of Governments and the Area Agency on Aging. I'd like to begin tonight by thanking Peg Argent from DSS Adult Services, as well as Stephanie Stevenson, Sharon Payton, and Mary Haley from the Department of Social Services, who are our adult home specialists. They serve as our backup agents for this committee. And I'd also like to thank Donna Buff, who helps coordinate our volunteers through the county commissioners' appointments as well. Let me share briefly the role of the Ombudsman in working with your committee. We have roughly 230 volunteers in our 9-county region, and they're part of over 1,800 statewide volunteer advocates. Gaston County volunteers serve both the adult care home and nursing homes here in Gaston County. These volunteers receive 15 hours of initial orientation and in-facility training. They receive 8 hours of ongoing training throughout the year through their quarterly business meetings. The Regional Ombudsman Program provides several services to the volunteer committees. We conduct their quarterly training. We provide technical assistance and explanation and possible interpretations of the North Carolina and federal regulations, as well as residents' rights. We provide assistance in organizing resident or family councils within the homes, and we offer guidance and direction in any complaint resolution that we may receive against the volunteers. The CACs are mandated through the North Carolina General Statute, and that stands for the Community Advisory Committees. They are empowered to serve as resident advocates, making them the only agency that has the resident as the focal point of their work. They accomplish this advocacy by making quarterly visits to the homes to discuss the residents' rights with the residents. They work with administrators, families, and residents directly on specific concerns or requests, and they work on developing special projects here in the county. Our Region F area has grown to over 16,000 long-term care beds, making it the second largest in the state. And Gaston County has 1,166 nursing home beds and 941 adult care home beds. I'd like to highlight some of the work done by these committees from the report that was submitted for your review. We hosted a very successful residents' rights celebration at the Gaston Citizens Resource Center, and we appreciate the attendance of the public officials who take time out of their busy schedules to attend. Our volunteers made additional visits to area facilities outside of what's required for them on a quarterly basis, providing activities, supplies, helping to coordinate community volunteers. This group has also worked to develop good working relationships with each other as well as the administrators in our facilities, so that when we need to resolve issues, we have the ear of our facility administrators to help make it a better place for our residents. Some of the challenges that the committees have identified is that not having full committees makes it very difficult to accomplish the mandates of the program. There are currently several vacancies on both our adult care home and our nursing home committees. And the reluctance of some facilities to follow through on suggested changes brought forth by the committee members can make it a frustrating task at best at times. They also have challenges in finding volunteers who are willing and capable of spending their time required, fulfilling the mandates of this committee, and really trying to work with Donna and Peg to make sure that those folks that are appointed are fully aware of what the requirements are, that it is a working board and not just a board where they go and sit and listen at times. The changes that our adult care homes have faced related to the patient care services and PASSAR and mental health screening. You heard earlier about some of the changes with DSS, and those folks have all had an impact on our adult care homes. Many of them, we are seeing some increased cases related to some of those changes as our facilities are struggling with the decrease in funding and the changes in numbers of admissions and discharges. So we're keeping an eye closely on those issues. The committees would like to invite each of you to attend an in-facility visit with us, giving you a first-hand look at some of the issues that they deal with, and that to meet the residents who call our facilities home. So anytime you're ready to go, you let us know. We'll be glad to schedule around yours. And at this time, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Commissioner Keeger.
It's, well, thank you for showing up again.
You're welcome.
Clockwork. But I attended the Gaston County Council on Aging's monthly meeting this morning. And, you know, with the vacancies you have, and I know it's a tough committee to serve on because, you know, you got to do some things. You just can't sit there and go to a lunch or whatever. We had a real good attendance at the meeting today, and I would suggest that maybe you contact Brenda Yateman.
That'd be great.
Do you know
Yes.
Brenda? And you know, see if she wouldn't be acceptable to the proposal of sending out a notice to those folks, because there's some really dedicated folks on that council, and I know some of them would want to do more, and this is, you know, very related.
I think that's a great idea. We can certainly reach out to her. And we have a number of committee members that have been on this committee. I keep waiting for their retirement and encouraging them for one more year. Many of you know Ruth Patterson, who's been here for almost 20 years. Mm-hmm. So we will certainly miss some of those as they transition off in the coming years. So we're always looking for new folks. So.
I think she accompanied you last time.
She did.
Okay.
She did.
Any other questions from the board?
Let me just say, Cindy, I know we have people listening out there, and if anybody's interested in serving on the adult care home committee, if they would contact me or one of the commissioners or Donna, you know, we'd like to get you full committees.
Absolutely. We appreciate it.
As it's been said, it's not something you go and sit and listen to someone. They get involved in actually making sure that the people in these care facilities are getting the right kind of care that they deserve.
Absolutely. It's a very rewarding opportunity. It's not for everybody, but those folks that get involved have had a very positive impact. So we appreciate all of their service and appreciate all of your time in helping us find members. We appreciate it. Thank you, Don.
Any other questions from the board? Cindy, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'll see you back in October for the residents' rights.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Our next item is First Transit presentation. Mr. Ryan Means, Director of Transit Solutions.
Probably Mingus.
Good evening. I'm actually Bill Harnett. This is Ryan Mingus. Thank you, Commissioners, County Manager. My name is Bill Harnett. I'm with First Transit. My colleague here, Ryan Mingus, is going to hand out copies of the report that we prepared on the access operation. First off, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to work with you, to work with the access staff, the county staff, and the DSS folks and the stakeholders throughout the county that we met with. I talked with a number of you, and I appreciate your time and your input. It was very easy working with the Access staff and getting input and getting information, so it made the report very, very enjoyable. I was involved in the report that was done in 2007, so this for me was more or less of an update to the 2007 report because I wrote that one. So it made it easy. That made it easy also. And I will tell you, I was very surprised. I was excited when I showed up and saw all the people here to hear my report, but I kind of thinking that maybe it wasn't me they were here to see. So I'm going to go through the report that you got copies of. I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit and do it in a little bit different order. But everything is in the report. This report that we did, the purpose of this one was to go in and find out how everything is going over at Access and to provide an assessment. Phase 1, which is what we're doing now, included a kickoff meeting, a review of the current policies and procedures, interview with staff, stakeholders, which county commissioners were part of, and stakeholders throughout the community. So, and that the stakeholder interviews are in the report, what the stakeholders shared. I need a bigger area. In the 2007, one thing I did want to share with you early on, and you'll notice on page 2, Access is improving. The statistics show that from 2012 to 2013, things improved. One of the items that we use in the industry is passengers per hour, and your passengers per hour increased by 14%, which is phenomenal. So that's very good. Something good is happening over there. So that was a piece of good news. And not to steal any of the thunder from the next 45 minutes that I'm going to take, is that when we met with the stakeholders had positive things to say too. So I'll share that one up front. I promise you I won't take 45 minutes. In 2007, when we came in and did the review, we did much of the same thing. We looked at previous studies, which back then there were a fair amount of them that had been done, to see what had been done in regards to the studies and the recommendations that had been made. We also interviewed stakeholders, interviewed staff, observed operations, and what we came up with during that one was that there were some service-related problems, some on-time performance, some operational issues, which still are holding back the system today, but we'll get into that shortly. There was the verification of passenger eligibility. DSS was having a problem with people being transported that shouldn't have been processed or transported. I'm happy to say that's gone away. So that problem's been solved. DSS actually wants to partner with Access to get Access to do more things to help them out, which is above and beyond what Access does. But they see an ability to actually use Access to do more things to help them out, which the county operations working together to save the county time and money and streamline things. The condition of the Access vehicles, we were told, was poor. That was not a concern this time. Nobody had anything negative to say about the vehicles. The rate structure. In 2007, there was a very confusing rate structure. That's been changed. The users are happy with the rate structure. The invoicing was a problem. Oftentimes the invoices were late, incorrect. DSS had to spend a lot of time going over the invoices and correcting it. DSS and Gaston Skills, very few problems with invoicing. Let's see. There wasn't much information coming out of Access, is what we were told and what we observed. But now Access is having regular meetings with county staff to keep everybody informed. So those are some of the things that we saw that were of concern, and many of them have been taken care of. Back then there were some vacancies over at Access, still some vacancies. So that's something that will come up that we need to work on. So what we did is we interviewed the stakeholders and we focused on the big ones. We talked to county commissioners, we talked to Access staff, we observed operations at Access. And I'm just going to quickly go over what we learned. Gaston Skills is one of the biggest users of Access services. They said the bills are fine. They rarely have a problem. Their issues with Access were operational issues, the on-time issues, which is a symptom of a system that's overtaxed. So it's trying to do too much. So they were buses late, sometimes buses early. They're trying to get ahead of the schedule so they can get ahead because they know they're going to have the make-up time later on. And at Gaston Skills, if the bus shows up early, it throws all the users into a tailspin because they think they're supposed to go out and get on the bus. So that's a problem. So that was one of the things there. The other thing for Gaston Skills was it takes 5 days to get somebody scheduled onto the system, which creates a little bit of a problem for them. So at DSS was pleased, very few billing errors, passengers happy. They said that the checking of the eligibility has greatly improved. It's not at 100%, but it's much, much better than what it was. So they were happy. I don't want you to take it as a negative, but it's just something that needs to continue to be worked on. There's a lot of changes in the eligibility lists, and it's just an ongoing problem. That will probably be that will probably be an issue that never gets perfect just because of all the changes that happen to the people on the list. A few complaints about schedule. Here again, the scheduling comes up again, the on-time performance, the missed trips, and the one item, Access closes 1 day a quarter to do training. So, and that created a problem for Access when they're closing 1 day a quarter to do the state mandated training. They have to do it, so they close to do it to keep the costs down. So, I think we can figure out why they did it. When we talked to the Access board chairman, what we got from her was that there needs to be more communication. She wasn't really sure what the board was supposed to do. The board's role, there was not enough public involvement, so that's what she wanted to see, more public, more communication. And that kind of led into the theme there with the communication. On the commissioners, it was very encouraging. One of the commissioners, one of you, has a family member that uses Access, so we got some really good information on that one. So that was good to actually have firsthand knowledge from a county commissioner that could actually tell us about the Access service. We heard about the need for better accountability, possibly saving money, customer service, communications with passengers, so we heard the communication item again. And we also were told that there have been some complaints about the on-time performance, the operational issues. And we also were asked 3 questions by the county commissioners. Does Access have the right tools for the job? Is there a least expensive way to provide the service? And is Access effective? And I'll answer those at the end. We talked to the Access staff, and just to give you some information about what Access does, not that you don't know, but just to refresh you, Access operates Monday through Friday. They start getting calls in the morning at 4 a.m. So a lot of the people they transport need the constant reassuring that the van's going to come and pick them up. So they're going to call at 4 a.m., the van's going to come get me today. That's normal. In this kind of business, that happens, that the passengers will need that. So they have to start manning phones at 4 in the morning so that they can assure the customers the van, you're on the schedule, the van's going to be there. They have 3 dispatch schedulers, and at times there's only one manning the phone, and they get a lot of phone calls over there. So I don't think it takes rocket science to see that could be a problem, and we heard from some of the stakeholders that getting through to Access is a problem. Well, sometimes there's only one person manning the phones, and if 10 people are calling, it's going to be a problem. Technology. The system has scheduling software, which is great, but there is additional technology, which costs money, unfortunately, that would help make the system more efficient and give them the ability to alleviate some of the calls and possibly transport even more people in the same amount of time. So those things exist. Going into the findings, the common theme on the positive side was a lot of the things have been fixed. Billing's good, the fare structure's good, customer service has improved, on-time performance has improved. Not that it can't be better, but it's improved. So I think from a standpoint of Gaston County Commissioners, you should be proud that the system has gotten better over the years. I was pleased. It made my job a lot easier to be able to report good things than bad things. On the not positive side, I hate to call them negatives because there was nothing huge. But we need to work on the on-time performance. And oftentimes that just means more vehicles, more operators, more vehicles. You've got the route match software, the automated software. You need to keep it current. There needs to be training. The only way that the dispatcher schedulers can do the job that they need to do is if they know the software, and if route match is coming in periodically, making sure all the parameters are set right. Training, you need to training needs to continue. The closing 1 day a quarter is creating a hardship for people. So, I mean, all these agencies on the day it's closed have to figure out something else to do. So, and we understand what it takes to solve that problem, but it is creating a hardship for the stakeholders, the users of the service, and I think it's just something that everybody needs to be aware of. How we can fix it is just a question. We can you can break the training into smaller groups. You can do small groups, but the key being keeping vehicles running if at all possible. You can always bring people in on the weekend, but that costs money. I understand that. That's an issue for you all to decide. And then the communication process. There needs to be more communication. There's more communication than there was in 2007, but there needs to be even more with all the interested parties. And some additional observations on the communication was trying to get more public involvement at the board meetings, to bring the public in so that they can be involved. Regularly scheduled meetings with stakeholders to keep them engaged so that there's a constant back and forth of information. And then just general communication with the public and the passengers. Information on the buses, maybe once a year putting something in the newspaper that just a State of the Union for access. Just something to get some information out there to let the public know what's going on and share the information. Staffing levels. The next item was on staffing levels. Like we talked about on the telephones, it's difficult to handle the volume of calls with just the number of dispatch schedulers that they have. And that's going to continue to be a problem. They just get a sheer number of calls. Some technology would help. Some automated phone system would help. That's not going to solve the problem entirely. If you have somebody on vacation, somebody out sick, that just compounds it. So that is an opportunity. There's also, with the limited staff, you don't have much road supervision. And that's another important aspect. You've got a lot of vehicles out there running around without road supervision out there to actually, go and monitor the drivers, do ride-alongs with the drivers. It creates a bit of an exposure. So that would be something that would be nice to see also. Let's see. The vehicle maintenance side, there were very few complaints on vehicle maintenance. They appear to be doing a good job there. It just is Access has a multitude of different vehicles. When they pull a big bus out of service and they have to replace it with a small bus because all the big buses are down, that does create a problem. Just something to be aware of. I'm going to skip over the options and I'm going to jump into I'm going to jump quickly into the recommendations, and then I'm going to come back to the options. You need to get software training. The route match needs to come in. We need to get the people, the dispatch schedulers, trained on their software, and we need to make sure that the software is up to date and running well. Staff increasing needs to be considered. With the number of people you have, you just can't handle the call volume, in my opinion. So you need at least 2 phone takers there at all times, and 3 during the busy times. So it's just the volume just can't be handled with one person. Some passenger assistance training to get the driver some additional training would be good. There was some customer service issues that were discussed. Increased communication with the board, commission, the access board, the stakeholders, just an increased level of communication, and a manner to handle customer service complaints. A lot of different ways you can do that, but there needs to be a process of how complaints are handled, how they're going to be vetted, and how they're going to be taken care of. So there needs to be some process for that so that we can keep a good handle on them. We talked briefly about the technology. If there's an opportunity to get some technology to make the job easier and to become more efficient, that would help. You've got the piece of software. There's the tools that you can add on to that to help. phone system to let the phone system handle some of the calls, some of the scheduling, the quarterly closing, and that was it. Now, getting into the options. There's basically 3 options for the operation of Access. And the first one is the status quo. Continue to run it the way you've run it. County staff running it, just do that and take, implement as many suggestions as possible. That one's pretty easy to understand. The cost is what the cost is currently. The second option would be to get some kind of management. So you can either bring in a company to provide consulting services that would be there to aid you with making decisions as like a permanent or on-call consultant, or you could actually hire a company to bring in a manager and run it with their manager, your employees. They could either be your employees or they could be privatized employees, but you pay the direct costs. So we call that transit management. So there would be a manager there from a management company, and the employees could either be county employees or employees of a subcorp that's set up that the employees work for. But in that situation, you pay the management company a fee to manage it, a negotiated fee, a set fee, and then all the expenses flow to the county. So kind of like what you've got, only with a different manager. Or it doesn't have to be a different manager, but with a management company managing it for you. The benefits for that is they can bring in the additional resources if needed from their nationwide network. If the manager were to leave, they're responsible for filling the manager. It doesn't fall to you, things like that. The third one is the full-out privatized one, which is you contract with the company, you pay them so much per hour to run the service, and they take it all. You just pay them money. And so those are basically the 3 things. When we talk about which one is cheaper, which one's more effective, is when you come into I don't want to say a gray area, but on the contracting one, it depends on how much risk you shift. For fuel, for example, if you're going to supply the fuel, that gets a much different cost than if I have to supply the fuel, because if I have to supply the fuel, I have to bank for worst case. So depending on how the contract is written and how much of the risk shifts to the company will depend on where the price is. Obviously, risk costs money. So when the proposal is written, depending on, like, fuel is a big expense, insurance, vehicle maintenance. So depending on how much of those things are shifted to one side or the other will depend on the price. So, those are, I can't tell you which one would be the cheapest because it would just depend on what you wanted to do. So, that's the piece. And then between the transit management and the transit contracting ones, you can even go into the middle and do, a hybrid of some combination between the two. So it's every contract is different. There's very few that are actually the same. It just depends on what the commission wants to do and how much of the risk they want to assume and how much of the risk they want to shift. So does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So, and there are companies out there that do this. And, but it's hard to put a price tag, put a dollar value on what it would be. Which one would actually be more or less. I can tell you now that your costs don't appear to be outrageous. They don't appear to be, outside of what would be expected. You don't have high costs. And you're already assuming the risk on fuel and vehicle maintenance. You're providing the vehicles. So a lot of the high ticket things that a company would, if we had to provide the vehicles, I have to recoup the vehicle cost during the term of the contract. So if it's a 5-year contract, I have to recoup the cost of the vehicles during the 5 years. So those are some of the things, but you're already handling that. And so your costs are not out of the ordinary. So
I think Commissioner Keeger had a question.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I know you put a lot of work and effort into this, and hopefully we're paying you a good fee to do that. I skimmed this pretty quickly while you were talking. We get pretty good at doing 2 or 3 things at once. And I'm of the opinion that somebody's stomach messed up down there. I'm of the opinion that if you were this body, you would probably do whatever you could to try to keep control of this organization, this department. Do I read that correctly?
Well,
I just want facts. I want yes and no's.
And I clearly don't want to. I clearly don't want to.
No, you're the expert
Yeah.
in setting businesses.
Yeah. You know, there's a couple of factors, and if my boss were here, he'd probably say something completely different. But he's not here, and he's probably not watching this on TV either. There's not a lot of revenue hours that you operate, so as far as companies' interest in coming in and doing this, not that companies wouldn't be interested in doing it, but you're not Houston or something. That's where the companies are putting all their resources to go win these huge ones. A small one, they would be interested, but maybe, you might not get as many bids as you want, or you might not get as much competition as you want. And it may be a local firm that would come in and have the most interest in doing it, as opposed to a large national firm, which reduces some of the benefits that you get. Not that there's any problem with a local firm, but it may not be what you're looking for. The system has done, over the years, the system has improved, which is very encouraging. I mean, that's a good thing, and the improvements are dramatic, I would say, right? Would you agree? So,
well, let me go back up and regroup and ask this. Understanding we're not a Houston or an Atlanta. Let's say we took the money that we put into this department. Divide it by how many hours it operates. In your opinion, if you can answer it, would we wind up spending more out of pocket for that hour?
You could.
Okay. I'm a believer that we need to do more as far as examining the local, state, federal government's duties and responsibilities towards the aging population. Now, I understand this deals with folks with other than age, folks with disabilities and what have you.
And Medicaid.
But most of the people, I think, are seniors. 55 and older.
Right.
So, we've got that in the back of our mind, because that population, the state has already told us, in Gaston County will be our fastest growing demographic regarding age. But you are the folks, you're the business that, we hire you to recommend. Just don't tell us what's here. But again, I would like to go back, and if you can, yes or no. If not, we'll just go to the next question. But if you were this body, and knowing what you know, much more than we do, probably collectively, about this type of business and undertaking, would you try to, before you were to give it up, try to keep it and make the improvements to make it work better, more effectively, more efficiently? You yourself, not your company.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I guess yes. The answer would be yes.
And myself believing that this is an issue. And again, I'm just talking primarily about seniors. I understand there's other cogs to that wheel. It's going to grow, and if it's been my experience over many years that Gaston County does a better and more economical job than outsourcing. We've shown that many, many times. So if you could, just for my train of thought on this, could you give me the main reason we should and the main reason we shouldn't try to outsource this? I read your conclusions, and I understand those.
The main reason that you should would be it could be less. Until you actually go to an RFP and you put decide what you want to be responsible for and what somebody else wants to be responsible for, and it could be less. So you could save money, and you will get a level of, you very well could get national experience coming in here to actually, notwithstanding the local folks, but you could get people coming in that have a broader scope of work history to actually help the system elevate to the next level. So there is that potential that the manager that would come in, the staff that would come in, and the support that would come in would bring expertise from other systems that are doing things completely different that maybe would help. So you get a lot of additional knowledge, which is hard when you run it yourself to get, because the area of association is smaller as opposed to a company that has 200 contracts across the country that can share information. It's just, so those would be the pluses. The reason not to is you lose control to a certain extent. I mean, there will be a contract between you and the contractor is going to do things based on the contract, and that may not always be the way you want to do it. So it's going to come back to the contract. So there's a certain amount of control that you give up when you contract with somebody.
Let me just stop you there for a second, because I'm sure somebody else wants to ask. I'll just finish up with this. Understand, and going through this real quickly, that the funding needs for this would center around personnel, training, software, and some type of education for the passengers themselves. And you talked about road supervisors or somebody out there riding occasionally.
Right.
That would be part of personnel. Are there companies that deal with small communities that, would we be successful in finding companies to bid this that would, do a job for a community this size versus a Houston?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot depends on what else you're competing against. I mean, companies have limited resources to bid on work, so if there's a ton of work being offered at the same time, they have to pick and choose. There's not a lot of companies on a national level that do this. There's like 5, right? And they all bid all the same work, so it just kind of depends on what's going on. But that's a timing issue. So timed right, yeah, there would be companies that would come in and be interested in bidding it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Price.
Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
One of the things that seemed to be consistent was this day of closing. Is that, I'm assuming we give advance notice and people are aware that we're closed? All right, is the training mandatory?
Yes.
All right, how do other systems do it without closing? How do they do it?
Yeah, I can't speak for all the ones in North Carolina, but typically a lot of systems will do it on the weekend, maybe when they're closed. Some will do it on Sundays. Some will do it, maybe on a Saturday or a day that they have reduced hours and do it in the evening. Some will break it into smaller groups and do it. If you've got a driver that works in the morning, he'll be put in a group where they can do it in the afternoon. So they may have to do the training 2 or 3 or 4 times to get everybody, but a lot of ones will just kind of piece it together to do it that way. And it's going to incur overtime. I mean, that system incurs overtime. So,
right. Well, one last thing. From my understanding and reading, it sounds like we have made the improvements we can make without spending any additional dollars. The thing that comes next, any more improvements are going to be increasing costs, such hiring another dispatcher, providing relief help so others can go to training. So it sounds like we have to compare our increasing costs as opposed to privatizing it out. So
correct.
We either at that point of putting more money in it at some point or looking at outsourcing.
Right. I don't think you have much more that you can do without having to spend some money. I think they're probably at they're doing as much as they can do, and with the understanding that when you go to privatize, the requirements that you put on them, the training is required by the state, so the contractor is going to have the same requirements. If you require the contractor to be open 5 days a week and never close, that's going to be a cost. So the cost will be paid one way or the other.
Thank you, Mr.
Talking about the day off.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you said a lot of them do them on the weekends and those kind of things.
Mhm.
Is there a reason that we don't do it on the weekends? Is it simply because overtime hours?
I think it's cost.
So that's the only thing we're trying. Okay, that's the
Mhm.
only reason. Okay. I think don't we get grants to do a lot of the stuff we do with Access, Mr. Ponder? I don't know if you guys.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You get a lot of money from. It comes through the Fed or comes through the
Okay.
state, federal money and state money that comes through. So yes, you get a lot of subsidy from that.
My question is, if we privatize or do anything like that, do we forfeit the right to any of these grants? Can you still get these same grants while you're privatizing?
Yeah, the costs are still the same. It's just they're still the same costs. It's still eligible. It's just a contract now. So yes, you should be able to get the same money, and you should be able to get the same amount, and you should be able to.
Okay, so we don't lose anything from that aspect.
No.
Okay. Did you consider in the study here and the recommendations? I know one of the things I talked about when I spoke to you guys was consolidation options with because somebody brought up DSS. If we consolidated with our Health and Human Services, did you take that into account? Would that be more efficient, less efficient, more expensive, less expensive?
We talked to DSS, and DSS really didn't want to be in the transportation business. They wanted to be in the social service business. Not that it's their choice, but they really didn't want to do that. And you've got a good transportation system. Moving it to DSS, there's no reason to believe it would be less expensive. And they would have to then get over the learning curve. They would have to get over the training things. They would have to learn everything or reassimilate all the people into their organization. But they're still county employees. A lot of the personnel costs would still be the same.
Okay, but from an efficiency standpoint, what you're saying is, since so many of these calls come from DSS, if we took this and put it under Health and Human Services, you're saying there would be no additional efficiency since they're basically working hand in hand?
They're one of the larger users, but DSS has a lot of different entities within it that have a lot of different requirements. So there's a lot of different factors within DSS that pulls on Access for different things. You've got the Medicaid group that has their requirements. You've got the elderly group that has their requirements, and so they all kind of work as different stakeholders, even though they're under one umbrella. So in my opinion, I don't see a huge savings of moving it over there. I don't see any savings. I think it should be it should be the same. I don't think we would get savings from that. Plus, there's a lot of outside users that would still have to be served, and DSS would now have to deal with that. So they would have to now serve the outside users as opposed to just serving their own network.
Okay, so you're saying there's not an inherent cost savings, but is there a downside to consolidating with Health and Human Services? I guess I'm missing the potential downside, because one of the things that we focused on, this Board of Commissioners, is one of the things you've talked about is DSS having so many different things they're doing. We would like to work to break down a lot of those silos and consolidate and be more efficient, and where we can kind of bring people in instead of saying, hey, we all do things separately and differently. So if we pretty much want to go in that direction and force collaboration, What's the downside to putting it under DSS?
As long as DSS was willing to continue to serve the public and the outside agencies, which I don't see why they wouldn't be able to, there probably isn't one. I mean, assigning it to DSS could be something that was done. I can remember when we did the 2007 study, it was under EMS, right? Was that the 2000 or the 2003? The 3 one. So when we did the 1 and 3, it was under EMS. So it could work. There's no reason why, with the right direction and the right setup, it couldn't work.
Okay.
Does that answer? Is that?
Well, sort of. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I'm a little more disappointed that you don't really have a good answer to, how this would work if we looked at the consolidation with Health and Human Services. I know that was a specific question of mine, and so I know you said they weren't interested in it,
Yeah.
but I think when we ordered this was certainly one of my questions. So I'm a little disappointed that really
Okay, well,
wasn't
we
addressed
can go back and get
specifically.
some more details on that and put some more in there about that and do some more research on that if you'd like.
Okay, well, that was one of the questions I had.
Okay,
when we did
okay,
it.
then we'll-
The other thing I would ask, I know it's been talked about in the past, even working with the city of Gastonia, they have their own transit system.
Right.
I've heard them, a couple of their elected officials, throw out some ideas of, hey, is there some collaboration we can use with our transportation
Mhm.
system, your transportation system? We're always driving by each other. Is there some sort of way we could do that? I know I brought that up in the phone conversation. Is that something you guys looked at?
We looked at it in the 2007 one.
Okay.
And I guess, the short answer is we didn't deal with that in this one because, and we can add that one too. We can go talk to the city of Gastonia. But back in the 2007 one, the city said we would be more than happy to have the county, handle it. It was kind of so in that regard, back then there wasn't really any desire for one to say we'll take it as opposed to one saying we'll give it up. So neither party was really wanting to say we'll take it.
Right.
So
and I don't know that that's changed.
But we can ask.
But I think it's worth
Yeah.
the conversation.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's it.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Well, Commissioner Williams just explored what I was going to ask about, a fourth option of maybe combining this with Department of Health and Human
Okay.
Services.
Mhm.
But I did have a question about examples across the country where they work and where they have not worked, and
Of
and communities
of
privatizing.
Of privatizing. There are hundreds of systems across the country that are privatized. It's not an uncommon situation to have it privatized. Charlotte's, I think Charlotte actually privatizes it to themselves, or at least they did at one point. They would bid on it every year. They would go out to bid every couple of years, and the city actually bid on it as a privatized one. So it's not an uncommon thing to do. Typically, it's done where, oftentimes it's done where in a union environment, where they have to privatize or contract because of the union involvement. That not being the case here, you've got full discretion either way you want to go. But there are probably well over 100 systems, demand response systems that are privatized across the country, and it typically works fine. I mean, the key is, as I said earlier, having the contract worked out between what are your expectations and what do you want, and the contractor understanding it and making sure that everybody's on the same page, because once the contract's signed, that's how it's going to be lived by. And there's a little bit of growing pains at first usually for everybody getting on the same footing, but they usually work just fine. I mean, it's not a problem with them.
Okay, before we go the route of that, I'd certainly like for our staff to explore some of those.
Okay.
Where it's worked and where it
Yeah.
hasn't worked.
Okay. And I can't really tell you of any places it hasn't worked, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Freely.
Thank you for being here tonight. Would there be anything wrong with us doing an RFP and just seeing where our costs fall out? I mean, you know, where we stand versus what we're spending now, and then that will give us some kind of idea as to whether we need to move forward and maybe try to continue to operate more efficiently if it looks like the costs are going to be too high going that direction, but maybe it looks like we're going to be able to save a lot of money. We might want to really, you know, look into that further.
You certainly can.
Right.
Yeah, you can do that, and you know, I mean, it doesn't other than time, it doesn't cost you anything to do the RFP. I mean, and you don't have to award.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what your all's rules are as far as the county commission, but you know, you don't have to award if they come in. I would say you wouldn't necessarily want to do it if you had no intent to award. If you had no intent to award, but if you said, well, if the prices come in this range, we would be crazy not to take it, then okay.
I don't know why we wouldn't pursue that since we've gone to this trouble and this expense to get to this point. I don't know why we wouldn't go on down that road a little bit further.
Yeah.
Also, you made a statement a little bit earlier, and some of the answers have seemed, you know, just a little vague to me, but you did make a statement you didn't know what your boss would say. I'd be interested to know what your boss would have to say, too, since he's not here tonight.
I don't want to ask him.
He would want a signature today.
Yeah, he would want a signature today. You know, he's sales. I mean, he's more sales oriented than I am, more operations oriented. He's more sales oriented, so, you know, he would love the opportunity to come in here and bid on this.
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Price.
Yes, thank you. If you could, at your convenience, get a list of successful operations that have privatized to our county manager.
Okay.
And if you could, make it for communities about our same size.
Okay.
Just so that he would have some data to look on and compare and recommend. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a problem.
County Manager Earl Mathers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of comments. One is that, you know, I think the consultants really emphasize the level of improvement that has been achieved within access, and I think we should really give a lot of credit to Cherie for that, because she has basically been pulling double duty for about a year and a half, I believe, and we have been incredibly understaffed for that entire period of time. So the progress that has been made is really nothing short of remarkable. I wanted to touch on the DHHS idea for 1 second, and while there may not be great efficiencies to be achieved, I see a couple of potential benefits. One, and of course, there's a downside too. The downside is there could be significant resistance within DHHS, and that could be problematic. But beyond that, I think it would give us some bench strength. And you know, I know that I give a lot of credit to Phil too, because he's been trying to fill in and provide support for Cherie as much as possible for an extended period of time. But, you know, that probably is not fully sustainable either. But so it would give us some bench strength and attach to a larger organization where that could be beneficial. You know, in terms of the private sector options, we're certainly willing to explore those in whatever way you would like for us to look at. But in any case, some of the benefits I see there is perhaps bringing better technology, because clearly that's something that we need, as well as additional staffing. Thank you.
Thank you, Earl.
And if I may, that could certainly be part of the RFP. Additional technology could be part of the RFP that you asked the company to bring in.
One last comment.
Commissioner Keeger.
Thank you. If for any reason this board decides to go the route of consolidating it with another department, Health and Human Service, I would recommend that we, you know, tread slowly, because they're nowhere near their total consolidation of the two major departments yet. And I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm saying, you know, we should look at it, but I don't think it's anything we need to, you know, let them be fearful of getting this dropped in their laps at the same time where they're trying to get the two
big departments together and all that.
Good point.
Thank you, Commissioner Keeger. I'd like to ask Mr. Ponder a quick question. He's always to the point. Based off of the information we received and you actually working down at Access, what do you think we should do based off your experience?
Well, Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, I think at this point, just kind of refresh everyone's memory because it's been a while, the agreement we have with First Transit is basically a two-phase agreement. The first phase is what we're talking about tonight. They were to go in, look at the study done in 2007, give a report back on the status, how we did with that. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this report is still in a draft form because the intent tonight was to get feedback from the board, go back, get the final information, then produce a final report. That's phase one. And at that point, if the board decided you wanted to go a privatization route, the phase two of this would be for First Transit to develop an RFP based upon communication with the board and the scope of work that you would want attached to that. So that's already been established in the contract, a price for phase one and a price for phase two. So that's already the framework's already in place to go through with that. So I think, I don't necessarily know that I have opinion as to which way the board needs to go, except that I think we've put in place a framework for you all, for this board, to carry it as far as you want to carry it.
Thank you, Phil, and thanks for clarifying that. I think that's important. I think the direction that I'm hearing, if I'm wrong, speak up from the board, is we do want to research the consolidation with DHHS. We do want to research the consolidation with the city of Gastonia. I also agree with Commissioner Keeger. If that were to come back, we need to walk slowly as far as consolidating that with DHHS. I also think, without a doubt, we are going to want to do an RFP. Okay. If it costs us nothing to do that, and it's already in the contract, I think we should do that, at least so we would have all the information available to us. Those are the three areas of direction that I've seen. So it's my understanding, am I right with that?
Pretty good.
No, it doesn't cost us to do the RFP, correct?
It costs because we'll now go into phase two. We're phase one now. It'll cost when we go into phase two to develop the RFP.
Gotcha.
I don't remember what that is. I don't have the contract with me, but
that's part of the framework. I know it's going to cost, but I think we need to have the information in order for us to adequately evaluate everything. Okay. We may not do it, but at least when maybe folks in the public say, hey, well, you should privatize that. Well, we actually did an RFP, and this is why we shouldn't, so as far as that would be the direction I would give, unless the board doesn't want to do that. Speak up now.
Let me say right there, Chairman.
Commissioner Carpenter.
I don't want, it's expensive for companies to prepare bids and close, and I don't want to ask them to do that unless there's a legitimate commitment to do something about it if the prices are right.
Yeah.
But just for an exercise in it, I don't want to go through that.
I think from what I'm hearing from Commissioner Fraley, Commissioner Brown before he left, and others, that if the price is there and they're able to perform the service, we're definitely willing to do it, if I'm correct.
I would agree with that. It's not that I'm wanting to privatize, but I just think that, we got to look at what's most cost effective, and, if what we have is better, then I'm all willing to stay with that. But if we come back with the right kind of plan, program that's more cost effective, I would support it.
Okay. So I think that would be the direction. We'd like some more research and consolidation with DHSS, more research on consolidation with City of Gastonia. We would like to put it out for bid. I think we probably it may be necessary to have a committee of commissioners. Maybe we can do this. I can get with Earl and Mr. Ponder, and we can talk to at least set up the RFP on how they think they would want, because to me, that is going to matter, or be the determining factor at the end of the day.
Yeah, we're going to need some parameters as to what you know, are you going to supply the vehicles or not supply the vehicles, or when a vehicle needs to be replaced, who's going to replace it? You know, those kind of things are the semantics that we're going to need to answer.
Would it be good for you if at a later date, when you get to that phase, that we maybe appoint a commissioner or two to maybe meet with you guys and kind of tell you?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to need some input from y'all as to what you want to see in it.
Okay. So what'll happen if that's the direction? What happens next?
Not putting words in Phil's mouth, but what we'll do is we'll come back. We'll research and put the things in the report that you've got now, and finalize that with the additional information that you'll have that. And then once we're done with that, then we'll start developing an RFP. So we'll actually start putting the information together, and that's when we'll need inputs from you all as to, you know, what you want to do. We'll also get the list of of the contracts to the county manager, so that he can see and talk to some folks if he wants to. But then we'll start developing the RFP and putting the document together so that you could then turn it over to your procurement department and put it on the street.
Okay. With that being said, just one last time, unless I hear anything else, that's the direction that I think the board wants to take. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Our next item is a reappraisal update presentation with Mr. Jimmy Tanner, Tax Director.
I've been waiting all night just to hear that.
I'm not want to hear it.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Mathers, Mr. Moore, and Ms. Buff. I do appreciate the opportunity to come before you and give you a real brief overview of the reappraisal project. I promise to keep it real brief. What we're going to do is touch on the major components of the reappraisal. Of course, we've not got to where we have numbers. We still got 10 months to go before we set them numbers. We're working on them now, but you know, just to give you an idea of the major components of what we're doing and where we're at in each one of them phases, if we can get the presentation up. There we go. Like I say, the major components of the reappraisal, it's kind of like the foundation of reappraisal, is the data verification project, the data entry project, the oblique aerial imagery. That'll be something we talk about probably more in detail than anything tonight. The street level photography, schedule of values, the evaluation notices, and the appeal process. That's the things we're going to cover. On the data verification and the data entry, you know, one of the things we did was undertook visiting every property in the county, making sure the property characteristics were correct, making sure the measurements were correct, the square footages, and everything about the properties. You know, that's very important in trying to determine the value. You know, that's a big undertaking. We got 103,000 properties in the county. Right now, we're about 90% complete. We have about 10% of the properties left to do. We hope to be through with this by July. We've had a lot of rough weather during the winter, but we've stayed on course, and we may even finish a little bit ahead of schedule on this, but it's still continuing. The data entry itself, the thing about revisiting every property and making all the changes to 103,000 properties is it's got to be keyed in. And just to give you an idea of the numbers, when you do the math, you know, a good data entry clerk, they can do about 100 a day. It's a lengthy exercise. It's not simple. So, you know, you do the math. This is a big undertaking. We're only about 12% finished due to the rollovers with camera systems. This always lags behind because we have to wait till we can roll into our next year in the tax system before we can begin. So we just started under this on this part of the phase not long ago, but we hope to be through by about August. And we've done about 12% of the properties as of today. The oblique aerial imagery, this is something we'll talk a little bit about. Gaston County's always had the aerial imagery. We did something a little different this time. You know, I talked to y'all a year ago when we talked about the reappraisal. What we were going to do is one of the things we was going to do is do the best reappraisal we can do, but not only do a good reappraisal this time, but planning ahead and how can we do better, less expensive reappraisals in the future. This is one of the major components of how we're going to be able to do that through the aerial imagery. You know, by getting all our property characteristics right now and getting that snapshot, as you'll see some photos in a minute. You know, labor is the expensive part of any project. You know, we've got the technology now that allows us to do a lot of the things that we have to do by putting people on the ground. We have a program called Change Detection, and what it does is it takes this snapshot of what we have now, and we'll fly new aerial imagery for the next reappraisal, and that computer will tell us every property that's got a change in it. We don't have to have people walking around it and taking measurements. So that's something it's not been out a long time, but we'll certainly take full advantage of it, and the reappraisals in the future will be much less expensive and more accurate. So right now for this project, the flights is complete. We have the images in-house, working with IT to get them all loaded, going through the review process, but we have them in. They're looking very good. You know, we stayed on schedule. We wanted to fly them during the very early spring because anytime you do any type of photography imagery, you want to do it when there's no foliage, no leaves, anything in the way. So we've done that, and it's in place now. In negotiations, everything we do in the tax office, to me, it's a business operation. And you know, when we got the proposals on getting imagery, when we got down to business, we went and beat them up the best we could. It's all about getting the best product for the best price. What we did was negotiated. We got 6-inch scale countywide. That, without going into a lot of detail, that's very good scale. Normally, we have decent scale in towns, and in the rural area, it's not really clear. Well, we've got 6-inch imagery throughout the county, and we didn't pay no more money for that. And we got some other things out of this as well. One of the big things, and the one thing we want to talk about tonight, with the method of hosting these aerial imagery for this time, it allows an opportunity for not just us to use it to do what we do, but it provides an opportunity for law enforcement, fire departments, emergency services, all the municipalities, and any other county agency to be able to use this. And I'll show you some pictures in a minute, but put yourself in the place of a law enforcement officer that's going to a domestic dispute. For example, coming to this building if there was an emergency or something that they had to deal with, and in their car live time being able to see where every entrance is, every window, where the parking facilities, the roads in and out, and see everything about this building while they're on the way to this property before they walk into something. So the way we did it this time, it opens up that opportunity for any of these services to be able to use this in their vehicle live time. And then, you know, going into the cost share and the business side of it, I think that also allows us an opportunity to do some proportionate cost sharing with the municipalities, and maybe getting imagery flown more frequent and getting even better scale than we have now. You know, we use these things for our reappraisal. That's when we target when we have them flown. But I think this is something, if we can get together on some of the towns, that we can come together and do some type of cost sharing, and like I say, have flights flown more frequent, which they would really utilize, and then even have better imagery than we have now. So that's, you know, that was one of the big things that we'll see. The other part of it is even though this is a web access, we control the users. You know, we don't want everybody looking at that type of detail. So we control who does, who can, and who can't. And, you know, we're actually going to be hosting a meeting in soon. We're putting it together now where we can have all the towns, municipalities, the emergency services people, law enforcement, Chief Bowie, everybody else come in, and we can demonstrate what this will do for them and how they can use it, and start trying to see if we can get some interest in, how we go in the future with this. This is this building here, and I'm not sure how good it's going to show up in the thing, but this is what people's used to when they look at the aerial imagery, in a county. You see a snapshot overhead. Now, when we're talking about using the change detection system, for example, if there was another part of this building, an annex building built onto this building, the next time we flew it, it would show and it would overlay and it would tell us there's a change on this building. That's how we would know that. But what we're talking about, when you start looking at the oblique views of these properties, you can go down and you can start looking at where every entrance is, where the windows, where to access, if you're coming into some emergency situation, where people can be coming in and out of the building, where vehicles can be leaving. When you get out in the rural part of the county, for example, in a domestic dispute, they would be familiar with the property. Once they got there, they would know where things would be at on the property. So, that's the kind of detail we're looking at that our law enforcement and fire officials, everybody else can have in their vehicle at the time they're working these emergencies. This is the south view of this building. The view from the west, as you can see, you can go around. It doesn't show it straight down. It shows the angles and gives all the property characteristics about that property. So that's about it on that, and we'll talk to them in more detail. The other part of this was the street level photography. It's currently in the process now. We have about 19,000 images that's already been taken, so we've got a little bit ways to go. The projected completion date of this is around the 1st of June. These are the vans that you'll see out in the county. As you can notice on the driver's door, there's a big placard with the Gaston County photo project with the county logo. So, they're very visible, and they don't go on people's properties and knock on doors. So this is something that, really doesn't create a lot of phone calls because it is visible and people can see what it's doing. On the schedule of values, the evaluation notices and appeals, this is more the information that we'll be getting into. Obviously, the schedule of values, we'll have to submit that to y'all for your approval and adoption. We plan to do that around August and September. It's about a 2-month process. It just has to be done before the first of the year. So, we always submit them probably around August, September, give us additional time in case there's any things. And this goes through the process of submitting to the commissioners for adoption. Goes through an open period for public view. There's the public gets to come in and speak about it and review it, and there's a lot of things. So it takes about a 2-month process to get through this. On the valuation notices right now, we've preliminarily scheduled about mid-February 2015 to send these out. They'll all go out to all the properties at one time. As you know, we'll prepare our staff and y'all for the outcome of that. But we will plan right now to send them out probably around February. The appeal process, obviously the evaluation notice when it goes out, it's going to have every bit of information the taxpayers will need to know to do anything about an appeal for a property that they feel like the value is not correct or unfair. So, that'll be all included in there, and the appeal process it'll go several months. It's a lengthy process even in non-reappraisal years, but we'll have plenty of appeals to work on. That's it as far as that. I wanted to give you a good brief overview of what we're doing, where we at, and what's left to be done. If there's any questions.
Any questions from the board? Commissioner
I
Keeger.
don't have a question. Jimmy and I have had a number of just impromptu meetings in the hallways or at lunch somewhere, and back in 1996, I bring it up to, I try to scare Jimmy to death. In 1997, the appraisal, when we were in the old courthouse on South, there were almost 2,000 people, they estimated, in the streets that couldn't get into the meeting after that appraisal. And I'm just fearful that some folks may panic if they see a number on their new billing that they don't think is accurate. And I just think it's incumbent upon us to make sure people understand that when they get that, they're going to get that postcard. That's the first step of the appraisal.
Right.
And all we have to do, and I've done it twice and got satisfaction twice. All you have to do is mail that card in and you'll get a review. You'll get notified. If you don't like it, you're going to contact them again and you'll go in for a hearing with the Equalization and Review Board. But I think it's important that we make sure, you know, there are 99,000 parcels, give or take, out there. We need to make sure those folks understand it.
Right.
There are going to be some properties that are going to be overvalued. There's some properties that are going to be undervalued, you agree. And there's some that are going to be right on the mark.
Right.
And you know, back in, when was the last appraisal?
2007.
Well, the one, okay, in 07, and I think the one before that, the county actually hired an outside appraiser from another part of the state to come in and do the manager and the commissioner's homes. And I was shocked how similar the commissioners were to what the county appraisers had put down. So, I mean, just so the public knows, we are trying to be so transparent with this. We want to help our citizens. We don't want to hurt them and you know, burden them unnecessarily, but I think whenever we have, if we're asked to talk at meetings or optimist clubs, things like this, we need to bring that up every chance we get.
Yeah, one of the things I've been doing is already going around the county, doing some presentation on the reappraisal. In any group that wants us to, we certainly, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, we'll do that. One of the things we encourage them, you know, the first thing to do when they get the evaluation notice, if it doesn't look right, is to call us. We got the processes in place, and the one thing we're going to promise we'll do is we're going to do a very good job of listening to taxpayers and trying to figure out if we got an issue or not. So,
thank you, Mr. Tanner. Great job.
Thank you.
As usual. Are there any other matters before the board? With that said, this concludes your work session for tonight. Our next regular meeting is March the 25th at 6 p.m. at the Harley B. Gaston Jr. Public Forum Courthouse. Thank you for watching. If you have questions or comments, please telephone our clerk, Donna Buff, at 704-866-3196 and share them. Good night.